Okay, cool. So, welcome everyone to our November Tech Bite. We are almost through the year. This one and one more to go. Kind of surprise, kind of crazy to think about. Today is going to be a presentation, not a demo, but it's an important one. R82. So, I think many of our customers are familiar that our Gaia operating system that runs on our firewalls. The revisions we do are, the versions we do are R82 now. R82 went generally available this month, so it's brand new. It's been in early availability for a little while now. Um, and there's a lot of neat new things in it that I want to kind of at least get the high points is there's, like dozens of changes that are worth checking out at the SK article, but I'm going to hit a few of the big ones. So without further ado, let's get rolling. Um, there's our agenda. We're going to talk about R82. So, Checkpoint firewall software R82 is now generally available. I believe it went generally available at the beginning of November. A lot of new things in it, but four of the big new innovations are are the industry's best threat prevention got better, right? Four new AI powered engines to prevent more 0 days, new architectural enhancements to make it a little more agile, simplify the security operations at scale, and also NIST certified VPN encryption against quantum computing attacks. And when you hear me talk about post quantum, what that means in here, I'm going to say it again probably. What it means in here is against quantum processors, quantum computing CPUs, right? And we're going to dive deeper into that towards the end. So let's continue on. You've seen this slide 100 times. Checkpoint is the gold standard for the best security, right? We have the best real-time prevention. Over and over, we prove it in the third-party tests. We set the bar for centralized management, right? Forrester says we excel in centralized management and UI, right? And we are extremely scalable with Maestro. Again, you've seen this one, well, most of this one. We continue to do the best threat prevention. And the thing that this slide is kind of showing you is that a big part of improving our threat prevention has been leveraging intelligence, machine learning, autonomous things, right? The growth of AI, right? And as you see here in our tab to the right in R82, new AI engines for 0 days and VPN capabilities for the post-quantum. So let's dive in. R82 strength and security. We block 99.8% of 0 day threats, right? Including invasive threats, rapidly deployed phishing, bot campaigns. And the change that we have here, right, is that the hackers have become extremely good at novel phishing and bot campaigns, and they've become extremely evasive, right? That's kind of a thing that's been a little bit newer, is that they become invasive. The traditional threat methods to find them aren't working the way they used to because these guys have just become so good at avoiding known prevention and techniques, right? So our our new AI powered engines, right? Our three new, the first one is built to find hidden relationships and patterns, right? So it actually looks at your traffic, it looks at patterns and relationships between different activities, different logs, different sites, etc. And based on, it's knowledge based on the things it's learned over time, it's able to kind of spot potentially malicious activities, potentially malicious downloads and sites, etc., and do that through AI, right? By looking at the patterns. We'll go to the auto, and the other thing we got is the new AI automatic URL categorization, right? So We have our categorization for years. Of course, in the past, it had been based on, to a large degree, people, individually seeing websites and adding them to a category list or a block list, whatever. We have added an AI powered engine that actually looks at a brand new URL. And this thing could be up for like 10 seconds. You could be the very first person to ever visit this website. But it looks at the web page and it looks at the actual language, like written language. It uses natural language processing to accurately categorize that website, right? It's accurate to 99.6% of URLs. So it's really great. And it's up to like it's instantaneous. It's not even up to the second. It's instantaneous, right? So something gets you go to something, you go to a website, it's a brand new website, it doesn't have a category, right? It's not being blocked because, by a category block. We add it to that category based on the AI's interpretation of the website. And the third AI engine that we're talking about on this slide is advanced DNS security, right? So we actually have the ability to block what's called NXNS attacks. Essentially, there are a couple different types of attacks against DNS. We can also support DNS over HTTPS inspection, right? And give us that granular control to protect the DNS, right? Another interesting engine is we've named Kronos, right? Kronos is a new AI threat prevention engine. It's machine learning designed to prevent malicious access to malicious domains based on traffic patterns. So it's a little bit interesting, but like this graph on the right here, right? When a new malicious domain is launched, right? Its traffic skyrockets immediately, right? And you see in this graph, the red line here, that in the first 5 days, the traffic is way, 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 way up, right? And then it slides down and eventually becomes, very little, right? And that's typical of a malicious domain. Whereas a legitimate domain, you see the blue line kind of pops up a little and becomes pretty stable and slowly grows a little bit. So with that kind of a example in mind, right? Kronos is looking at the traffic to a domain and learning about it and making decisions. Hey, this exhibits the sort of traffic profile of a malicious domain, and using that sort of intelligence to say, hey, this is probably malicious. We're going to block it for now, right? It's pretty impressive, and it's caught quite a few things. It caught 270,000 new malicious domains in September. So it's good at what it does, and it's a really neat and kind of new approach to spotting these sort of things, right? Another thing, we have the threat cloud, our global threat intelligence. We've talked about that a lot, but we've added something called Threat Cloud Graph, right? And what the graph does, it shifts from a single indicator of compromise, right? We usually say, hey, we found that this piece of software did this thing, and that's our indicator of compromise. Now it's bad. It shifts from that to a multi-dimensional view, right? It's more about the attack pattern. We see IOC over here, okay? That's raising our threat awareness here, but it's not necessarily a threat. What is it doing with taking you to different websites? What is it doing to looking at different IPs? What is it doing to relation to other applications and software? That's where we kind of get this wider multi-dimensional relationship of things, right? And how do they all work together to create an attack? Just want to check real quick. Okay. The other, and I mentioned it like just for a second before, our zero phishing blade, our blade that stops you from being phished. You've seen it in the endpoint product. You've seen it on the firewall if you've turned it on, and it's in the NGTX. It also now has brand spoofing prevention, right? So it's a new AI engine. It looks at the it looks at the domain, it looks at where you're at, right? And it literally can say, hey, this is a look-alike. And it bases it on a lot of different things, on natural language processing, on machine learning, on image processing. And it says, hey, this looks like Facebook in the picture here, but it's actually not Facebook. It's Facebook with two zeros at the end or whatever. Um, but it's able to actually detect brand impersonation. And then again, to talk a little bit more about that automatic URL categorization, uh, R82 is able to do it. It uses AI natural language processing, and the website's actual text is scanned to verify that the URL category it is signed is accurate and the security policies are fully enforced. So that's kind of the AI portion of the threat prevention. Um, Moving now to a little bit of the agility, and this is some cool stuff. Uh, First things first, VS Next. We can, if anybody here was using VSX, so deploy virtual firewalls, this new VS Next is literally 8 times faster. So it spins up the firewalls 8 times faster, provisions them. It also does it with a shared web UI and shared management APIs so that you can access things quickly in one spot and greatly simplifies your overall operations, right? Uh, API-based self-service security layer for DevOps. So DevOps can access the firewall and put policy in via API now. And what that does for you is you can actually apply these changes in real time because if you access it directly through API, it doesn't actually require a push if you don't want it to. You can literally change the policy immediately. So this is something cool too. We have a new architecture for clustering, right? I think a lot of us are familiar with clustering, high availability clusters with Checkpoint using the cluster XL protocol. Well, we now have a new technology there called Elastic XL. Um, Now, the Elastic XL is really cool. So it literally creates, instead of two machines in your UI, they become one and they're addressed as one. Up to 3 appliances can be put to a cluster and it duplicates settings and traffic directly to the other ones. They essentially are clones rather than a cluster with multiple members and multiple IPs and stuff, right? So you set up the first cluster member, the all others automatically clone themselves. They seamlessly add on the fly, and no orchestrators are required for this. We also have some really cool updates to Maestro. Maestro could be provisioned with APIs now. We also can monitor through web UI, and we've improved the first time wizard. The other thing we've improved, and this is something that a lot of customers have, frankly, a lot of customers have kind of avoided um, because it's kind of intensive to work on, is we've improved the HTTPS inspection. We have changed it to where it has automatic bypasses for unsupported applications. So if we have a situation where there's certificate pinning going on, stuff like that, and it's not working correctly, the site can get auto bypassed based on your pre-established criteria in the policy, right? And this also will help you with minimizing the hit on CPU and things like that. Also can have a fail-safe mode. Again, automatically detects failures in the inspection and can go ahead and allow that through based on policy. We also have the ability to bypass HTTPS inspection during high CPU loads. So we've actually added quite a bit. And the other thing we've added is support for HTTP 3. To my knowledge, I can't say this for certain, but to my knowledge, this is the only firewall that is currently has support for HTTP 3 over QUIC, which is what Google Chrome uses now. The first and only security platform to fully inspect, sandbox, and secure HTTPS encrypted traffic. Many websites are adding support for QUIC protocol that is faster than TCP. QUIC improves reliability over the UDP protocol, right? If you're not too familiar with it. But what happens is Chrome detects, hey, will this website respond to QUIC? And if it does, it uses that and it goes HTTP 3. If it does not work with QUIC, it'll bump it back down to the standard TLS. But with R82, we're able to support that and able to inspect that traffic over QUIC. So the last couple slides here, we talked about really briefly post-quantum encryption. And again, the term quantum here is not quantum checkpoint firewalls. It is quantum computing, right? The wave that's coming of computer processors that are, multi-threaded and et cetera, that can do advanced things. If you've been paying any attention to cryptography and things that are coming out about encryption and VPNs as part of encryption, the quantum computers, when they come out in the next few years, are supposedly going to be able to break most of our encryption algorithms simply by having the power to tear them apart quickly. What hackers are actually doing now, some of them are actually recording, if they can do it, recording VPN encrypted traffic and storing it with plans to decrypt it with quantum computers in the next few years. So the checkpoint solution to this, right, is to use the new NIST approved encryption algorithms. These new ones, and I'm really not big on, I'm not great with cryptography, but the new ones are essentially one-way equations to encrypt. And so they are difficult, practically impossible with the math algorithm to decrypt them, even with the quantum processors, right? So we're providing support for new encryption algorithms using the PQC algorithm and Kyber, which is machine learning KEM, to improve our VPN security. And lastly, cover your left eye and look at this chart. There are 50 other things that I'm not going to get to today. We've added so much to R82. You can see a full list at the SK for R82. But you see, I mean, it's we hit on a lot of different topics and areas with our new improvements, our new additions. We've enhanced a lot of things that existed. We've added things that did not in the past. So most of which I've talked about so far in this presentation, but a few others as well. Really just, a lot of new stuff to take in. And so in summary, the best security, simplicity, and scale just got better with our new AI-powered threat prevention engines, with our various things we discussed about agility in the data center, right? The APIs and the new virtual systems architecture, and the operational simplicity with Elastic XL clustering architecture, and also with non-disruptive HTTPS. And so thank you very much. Are there any questions? And I'll look in the chat. Okay. First one, where do we get it? So good question. If you're looking to try out R82, and I would look at that article in the SK first. If you are looking to try out R82, you can get it through that SK, download the ISO file, or you can do an update, using CPUs through the web UI of your firewall. You'll probably have to tick off there's usually a box right there that says view recommended updates or view all updates. You want to tick it to, I think you got to uncheck it to make it view all updates, and you'll see R82 in there. So that's a very good question there. Okay. So if there are no other questions, I'll go ahead and end the session. I appreciate everybody coming out. I hope that this slide deck has at least introduced some of these new ideas in R82 and maybe whet your appetite to go and check out in greater depth some of this information, or you've seen a thing here that you think is really cool and you want it and you want to see a little bit deeper into it with maybe a demo down the road or something. Um, Hopefully this has been a great session and helpful. I hope everybody has a great Thanksgiving holiday here, and we'll meet again in December for our last Tech Bite of the year. Thank you very much for coming and have a great day.